What if the turning point in one of hip hop's biggest trials isn't a new piece of evidence, but a behind the scenes deal? That's exactly what's happening in the YNW Melly case. His closest friend, YNW Bortlen, just took a plea deal that dropped the heaviest charges against him. And now people everywhere are asking, does this give prosecutors the breakthrough they've been desperate for? Or does it prove their case was shaky all along?
You have the right to you have the right to present defenses, to file motions and other pleadings in support of your defense. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the witnesses against you. You have the right to appeal any decisions that I may have made up to this point, or any rulings I might make in a future trial. But understanding by entering this negotiated resolution today, you are giving up all of those rights. The matter is going to be resolved today, right now, this afternoon. Is that what you want to do?
To understand how we got here, let's rewind. Years before courtrooms and headlines, there were four friends bound by three letters, YNW. To them, those initials weren't just part of their stage names. They were a brotherhood. Melly was the rising star, the one catching fire in the industry. Bortlen stood by his side, often managing things behind the scenes. Then there were Juvie and Sack Chaser, two friends chasing the same dream of fame and success. Together, they weren't just making music, they were building a movement. But then came October 2018. That's when everything changed. After a late night in South Florida, tragedy struck. Juvie and Sack Chaser were shot and lost their lives. At first glance, it looked like another drive-by in a dangerous world. The surviving friends appeared shaken. But as investigators dug deeper, the story began to unravel. According to police, details didn't add up. The angles of the bullets, the way the scene was presented, it all suggested the shooting wasn't random at all. Instead, detectives suspected the story had been staged. And with that, suspicion shifted from outsiders to the very people inside the car. From there, prosecutors zeroed in on Melly. They argued that he was in the car when the shots were fired and that Bortlen helped clean up the scene.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me you telling me about shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
Melly pushed back, insisting he had stepped out before anything happened. His defense painted him as innocent, someone caught in a nightmare but not the one who caused it. When the trial began in 2023, it became a spectacle. Every shred of evidence was pulled apart. Ballistics, phone records, even surveillance footage. But when it came time for the jury to decide, they hit a wall. And that wall was motive. Without a reason, the state couldn't convince all 12 jurors. Why would Melly harm two of his closest friends he had tattooed on his body? The jury couldn't agree. And because of that, the trial ended in a mistrial. No conviction, no acquittal, just a frustrating middle ground that left Melly stuck in jail while prosecutors prepared to try again. That brings us to Bortlen and the deal that changed everything. As his own trial approached, Bortlen faced the possibility of multiple life sentences, but prosecutors suddenly offered him a way out. They dropped the murder charges if he agreed to plead no contest to lesser ones, accessory after the fact, and witness tampering. The result? A 10-year prison sentence with 6 years probation. Yet with time served and good behavior, he could be free in just a few short years. This was no small twist. Going from life behind bars to potentially walking free in a handful of years is a massive turnaround. But there was a catch. The plea required Bortlen to provide a sworn statement about what happened that night. That doesn't mean he'll testify against Melly directly. It doesn't even mean he'll accuse him. But it does give prosecutors something new, something they didn't have the first time around. And so the big question becomes, what will he actually say? This is where speculation begins. Prosecutors don't need Bortlen to outright point the finger at Melly. Instead, they might ask carefully worded questions about the group's relationships. Did tensions exist in the crew? Were there arguments over money or fame? Did Melly ever clash with his friends? Even small answers could matter. If Bortlen admits there were fights or bad blood, that could be the missing motive prosecutors were desperate for. They don't need him to testify. Melly did it. They just need him to create doubt and suggest there was a reason. But here's where things get tricky. A plea deal doesn't guarantee a conviction. Take the YSL case with Young Thug. Multiple associates took deals, including Gunna, but Thug still continues to fight his case. Public perception often assumes a plea equals betrayal, but legally, it isn't always that simple. In fact, Bortlen pled no contest, which means he didn't admit guilt. His lawyer has even said his answers won't hurt Melly's trial. Whether that's true or just legal spin is something only time will reveal. Meanwhile, timing adds more pressure. Melly has been locked up for over 5 years now, and while the law says innocent until proven guilty, sitting behind bars that long tests the patience of everyone involved.
Had no plan. Ain't had no plan. When I was in that bitch, I had a plan. In this bitch, hey, I know what the fuck I'm finna do when I get out this bitch. I'm finna blow. You know what I'm saying?
Judges don't like cases dragging on forever. That urgency may be part of why prosecutors struck a deal with Bortlen, even if it made them look desperate. And desperate is exactly how critics see this move. Why give up on murder charges unless the case is in trouble? Was this a smart strategy or a sign of weakness after the mistrial? Fans are divided too. Some argue the plea deal shows prosecutors never had a strong case to begin with. Others think it's the ultimate setup, that Bortlen's words will finally give the state the motive they couldn't prove before. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Prosecutors want to avoid another embarrassing mistrial, and they'll use every tool available.
My interpretation, based upon the evidence, is where's the weed, the marijuana? That's the problem here, folks. They're interpreting it as opposed to calling.
But defense lawyers know how to attack a deal like this. They'll argue Bortlen said what he had to just to save himself, and that makes him unreliable. So where does this leave Melly? Right in the middle. His retrial is still on the horizon, and now prosecutors have something new to bring to the table. But is it enough? Without a direct confession or hard proof of motive, they may run into the same problem again. At the same time, Melly isn't free. He's still fighting for his life in court, and every move Bortlen makes could tilt the balance. Looking ahead, there are 3 things to watch closely. First, will prosecutors use Bortlen's statement directly in the retrial? Second, will they push to have him testify in person or keep things limited to paperwork? And third, will any of his answers finally give them the motive they couldn't prove last time?
In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation.
This case has already been unpredictable. A mistrial, a shocking plea deal, and years of delays. Now everything may hinge on the words of someone who once called Melly his brother. So in the end, YNW Bortlen traded life sentences for a deal that could put him back on the streets in just a few years. Prosecutors traded murder charges for a statement they hope will fill the gap. And YNW Melly? He remains at the center, waiting to see if this twist sets him free or locks him away for good. The story is far from over. If anything, it's only getting more complicated. And the next chapter could decide it all.